Have the Atlanta Falcons been given a miracle? And when I say a miracle, I'm talking about something that is so far unfetched or unbelievable that when it comes out, that when reports are reported on this, a lot of people question and say, is this actually possible? And if you're wondering, yes, I'm talking about the Kirk Cousins situation. And in the video, I'm going to break down the latest regarding the Kirk Cousins situation, but also I'm going to tell you about some free agent signings that the Atlanta Falcons were able to make within the recent 24 hours. Now, big news of the day is talking about Kirk Cousins, and Josina Anderson basically reported on the fact that the Atlanta Falcons may be able to get a not fifth, not sixth, not fourth, a third round pick for Kirk Cousins. I want to read to you the tweet that says this is by Josina Anderson, like I said, and it says, evening notes, the offseason carousel continues to churn. I was told that 2 quarterbacks' names came up in recent preliminary trade inquiries or internal discussions per a league source. Kirk Cousins, our guy, and Will Levis. Atlanta has been getting calls. Now, here's the big thing. Calls, as in plural. So there's not one call coming through. There's been multiple calls. And she continues to say, I heard talk of a third-round pick being potentially actionable. And then you can talk about Will Levis. Who cares about Will Levis? If the Atlanta Falcons pull off the okie dokie and trade Kirk Cousins for a third-round pick, everyone in the comments, not only do you have to give, we have to put Terry Fontenot in the Hall of Fame of GMs out there, but also we have to give Terry Fontenot his credit. He stood to his guns. He said, we're not trading Kirk Cousins. And per this report, there are discussions regarding Kirk Cousins and a third rounder, a guy that could honestly make a big impact for the Atlanta Falcons this year. If this happens, there's nothing I can contribute to more than it's just a miracle. If there is a team that's willing to give up a third rounder for Kirk Cousins, it's a miracle. And if that happens, Falcons winning the Super Bowl. What Shannon Sharp says, Beehive, 3 Alive, Tree Hive, Falcons winning the Super Bowl. That's all I'm saying. Now, more specifically, I just want to kind of caveat and say this. Kirk Cousins, if he gets a third rounder, I wouldn't be surprised if the Atlanta Falcons have to pay a little bit more of his salary to get that deal done. Like I said, Kirk Cousins is due $27.5 million plus his $10 million kicker for being on the team. So the Atlanta Falcons may have to pay half of that to get the deal done and to get a third rounder for Kirk Cousins. But at the end of the day, if I'm the Atlanta Falcons, I'm easily paying $20 million, getting a third round pick, sending Kirk on his way, and keeping it moving. That is easy money for me. Now, second big news is not really on the miracle train, but it's a miracle because the Atlanta Falcons got a safety out of free agency. And that was Jordan Fuller. Now, something about Jordan Fuller, he played with Raheem Morris with the Rams prior to playing with the Carolina Panthers, and now he's back with Raheem Morris. I watched a little bit of tape with Jordan Fuller, and there's something that kind of sticks out to me is he is a downhill safety who will be able to tackle running backs and receivers. He's a really, really, really good downhill tackler. And I think with the Falcons defense shifting a little bit, and I think they're gonna run a little bit more of the one high look and let Jesse Bates roam like he really, really, really needs to. Jordan Fuller down in the box is actually a really, really, really good addition, and he's an additional tackler, and he can play. He reminds me a little bit of like a linebacker vibe, but he is a really sure tackler down in the box. Now his cover skills aren't the best, but in certain packages, I think, maybe base defense. Don't be shocked if the Falcons run him out in base defense and kind of shift him down if they want to play one high with Jesse Bates. I think Justin Simmons is really Jesse Bates' position, and it didn't work out very well because the Atlanta Falcons really didn't have a down-in-the-box safety because Justin Simmons and Jesse Bates are very similar style players. But if you allow Jesse Bates to be that one high safety that roams and he's a ball hawk safety who can get those interceptions in the back end, and then you allow Jordan Fuller to be in the box. I think that both plays to their strengths, and that's something that can help the Atlanta Falcons out. Also, it allows them to, if they want to draft a safety, it doesn't allow them to be dependent on that guy to be really, really good. I know a lot of people wanted to get Malachi Starks or Umi, or I'm not going to pretend to say his name, the safety that killed it in the combine. I'll throw up a picture right now. But if you're able to take a kicker on like a third or fourth round safety, if we have that pick, you can kind of develop him there, and you can use Jordan Fuller to kind of be a stopgap between those two. So really like Jordan Fuller. He's not going to be the big name that a lot of people were like, yeah, let's go. But I think he fits the scheme-wise because he's a downhill safety that can tackle very, very, very well. And it allows Jesse Bates to kind of roam and be that one high safety that can get, that can get interceptions and things like that. So all this to say, be watching, because if Kirk Cousins ends up getting traded, sources say there's a lot of teams that are calling, and there's a lot of teams that will give up a third. Also, I will say this, Aaron Rodgers' delayed decision, actually, I think it's helping the Atlanta Falcons out a lot because teams are getting more and more desperate for a quarterback. And as you see, the Minnesota Vikings basically said, we're starting J.J. McCarthy. If that doesn't work well, they may be in the in the market looking for another quarterback. So it's a lot going on. Kirk Cousins, third-round pick. It has to be nothing but short of a miracle. So let's hope for there. But if you agree or disagree, leave a comment down below. Let me know. And if you want to see more videos like this, check this one out right here. And like always, peace.